Mark Dotson is the owner of Tri-Rivers Enterprises in Cameron, Missouri. In September, Dotson and his crew found themselves on a very unusual job. First of all, instead of working deep in the woods off of a dirt road, they were working right downtown Harrisonville in a suburb of Kansas City, in a place called Lord's Park, where they had been contracted to remove several large walnut trees and a few oaks, including one that measured 7-foot diameter at the butt. By counting the growth rings, the Tri-Rivers team estimated that the tree was about 390 years old. To put that in perspective, that means that this tree began its life around the same time as the death of William Shakespeare and the landing of the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock. It was there for about 200 years before the Missouri became Missouri. Unfortunately, the tree had reached the end of its life cycle, so the city of Harrisonville needed someone to remove it before it finished dying and became a problem. It took 3 tanks of chainsaw fuel just to cut the butt. The top had to be taken down with a bucket truck to keep it from breaking. When it was standing, the tree was an estimated height of over 100 feet tall. Chainsaws aren't in common use on this mechanized crew anymore, but it's a good thing someone still knows how to use one skillfully when it's needed. Of course, felling this beast was only half the battle. Getting it loaded and hauled away would be no mean feat. No grapple would be wide enough to grip it, no boom strong enough to lift it unaided, and no regular log trailer would be wide enough to hold it. But the Tri-Rivers team came up with and executed a plan that eventually got the job done. A John Deere 437 loader and a 648H skidder rolled it up onto a lowboy a little bit at a time. The knuckle boom used grapple and chains to pull from one end, while the skidder alternated pulling with its grapple and pushing with its blade from the other end. Finally, they maneuvered it onto the flatbed trailer. A John Deere 437 loader and a 648H skidder rolled the log up onto a lowboy just a little bit at a time. The knuckle boom used its grapple and chains to pull from one end, while the skidder alternated between pulling with its grapple and pushing with its blade on the other end. Finally, they maneuvered it onto the flatbed. A John Deere 437 loader and 648H skidder rolled it up onto a lowboy a little bit at a time. The knuckle boom used grapple and chains to pull from one end, while the skidder alternated between pulling with its grapple and pushing with its blade on the other end. Finally, they successfully maneuvered it onto the flatbed, right dead in the center. It was an impressive display of skill and coordination by the team. Not just any group of operators could have handled it so well. Dotson didn't haul this behemoth to a mill. He held on to it until he could market it to a buyer, a high-end table manufacturer. You can read the full story about Mark Dotson's Tri-Rivers Enterprises in the January 2023 issue of Southern Log and Times.